Truly, I believe there is something inside each and every one of us that knows us better than we know ourselves. And constantly, day in and day out, it is seeking expression through us. And we either suppress it or we tell it, yeah, we suppress it. We say, no, that is not what I want to do. That is too risky. That is embarrassing. That is stupid. So on and so forth. And we let this thing inside of us that knows us better than we know ourselves, that is trying to guide us to a life of meaning, a life of fulfillment, a life of living true to ourselves, living in accordance with our nature. We suppress that thing, and then we wonder why we find ourselves, in existential crises, lost, walking a path we don't even know how we got on and so forth. I just want to make this video today to urge you to listen to that thing inside of you that knows you better than you even know yourself. Steve Jobs talks about this in his commencement speech to Stanford. Um, the quote goes something along the lines of, your intuition somehow already knows what you want to, or trust your heart and intuition, it somehow knows what you want to become. And I mean, that's from what Steve Jobs said, really all he ever did was just trust his heart, trust his intuition, and trust that, looking backwards, all the dots will connect and everything will work out, and you'll be able to see clearly why you were so passionate about this at that time, because then it led you to be passionate about this at that time, and then that led you to be able to combine both of them and then have a passion at this time, and so on and so forth. He also says you can only connect the dots looking backwards. So you just have to have faith that the dots will connect and everything is happening for a reason. And I think the only way this life can be bearable is if you just trust your intuition. You follow your heart. You listen to that thing inside of you that knows you better than you know you. And you have to do this even when it's embarrassing. Even when you're going to feel like you're going to make yourself look like a fool, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, even when it makes no sense. That is the time when you most need to listen to this voice, to this thing inside of you that is trying to guide you down a path that is full of meaning, fulfillment, and destiny. What you were meant to do. There's only one of you that ever was and ever will be, and you're meant to do something special. And if you don't listen to that thing inside of you that's urging you to go do that, you won't do it. And you'll feel lost. You'll feel like you lost something special. You lost something divine. You lost something eternal that you don't know where it went, but it's gone. And you'll feel a void in your being. And that's just the point I want to elaborate a little bit more on. It's just the fact that, you know, Stephen Pressfield talks a lot about the resistance in the war of art. And the resistance does not want you to become this thing that knows you better than you. It does not want you to become your true self. It does not want you to unlock your potential. And it's interesting why, and no one can really say for certain, but it doesn't want you to. So it's going to make up all these excuses like, you know, you're too ugly, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too stupid, you're not qualified enough, you know, you're going to embarrass yourself. No one cares about this thing. No one this, no one that. That is what the resistance and the ego is going to tell you when you try to pursue a dream, put yourself out there. And it's just going to convince you that in the end, you're just going to embarrass yourself. It's going to be a waste of time and you're going to wish you just never did it. So might as well, cut out the middleman and just never do it. That is what resistance and the ego is going to try to tell you. And you can't listen. You can't listen. Carl Jung says, the negation of fear is evil. And the only cure for fear is boldness. And a life where the risk is not taken is not worth living. A life where the risk is not taken is not worth living. Let me tell you right now, in case you didn't know, life is already risky. You are already going to die. You are already naked, as Steve Jobs says in his commencement speech. The thought of you soon ceasing to exist should drop all the curtains of fear, and you should be able to just run into the unknown and realize that, all right, if this doesn't work out, the end has not changed. I still die. It's still game over. It's still zero. It's still everyone forgets my name. It's still this. It's still that. But at least while I was here, I took a risk. I jumped into the unknown. I listened to something inside of me that was urging me to do something special. That was urging me to just go, to just do something. And it doesn't even have to be something, profoundly impactful to the human race. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about just doing what that thing tells you to do, whether that's, going on a diet or starting to go to the gym or stopping smoking or stopping drinking or starting going to the gym, starting doing some martial arts, starting doing some extracurricular activity that you've always wanted to do. I'm not saying that, everyone has this, but has the potential to be a Steve Jobs, and they're just not fulfilling it. But everyone does have something inside of them that they want to do. You listening to this right now, you have it. And I think we so often kid ourselves when we say, well, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I should do, so on and so forth. Ask your heart. Ask and you will receive. If but be open, because it's going to be real with you. It's going to tell you that thing that you least want to do. It's going to tell you that thing that you're so fearful of doing. It's going to tell you that thing that you've been putting off for years. It's going to tell you that thing that has been so hard for you to just even give over a little bit of your being to. And that's what it's going to tell you to do. And when you don't listen to that, you have no one to blame but yourself. You can sit here and say, I don't know. It just hasn't come to me yet. But your heart will sit there screaming at you, telling you, I've already told you what to do plenty of times. I once, at this point, probably around a year ago, I was reading something or watching a video, and it basically said this, more or less. Ask your heart, and it will tell you. It will tell you what you need to do. And I was like, all right, like, if it's that easy, I've been trying to figure out for years. I've been trying so hard to figure out the next step to take. And you're telling me all I have to do is just sit here and ask? So I was like, what should I do? In my head. And I'll never forget this, because yeah, it was actually pretty crazy. A voice yelled at me from inside and said, quit your job. Quit your job and pursue what you want to pursue. And I I just laughed and I said, well, not that. I said, what else do I need to do? I literally did this. And I thought, even in the moment, I was detached enough from this situation to realize how funny it was because I wasn't prepared to do that. It's like I said, it's the thing that you least want to do, but you know you most need to do. That's what it tells you to do. The thing that's the scariest. Where your fear lies, your task begins, as Carl Jung says, or James Hollis, one of the two. One of the two goes. Um, and I'll never forget that because it was exactly what I needed to do. And it took me a year. It took me a year to quit. Only recently did I. But it told me what to do. It said, quit your job. And I said no. I said no. And I was detached enough from myself in a way to realize how crazy this was and how stupid this was to say that I was willing to do anything for this life that I so passionately want to live. And my soul, my inner being, the thing inside me that knows me better than I know myself, told me what to do, and I told it no. And I don't know, I like to think that I'm not, some special person who goes through things that no one has ever gone through. You know, I don't like to think myself that narcissistic. So I like to think a lot of us go through that too, where we say we don't know this and that, but really when we ask, we receive. But it's just too scary. Because where your fear lies, your task begins. And usually it's the thing you fear most. And, in hindsight, quitting wasn't that crazy. But, I catastrophize everything. So it's like, I quit my job, this, that, and the other, homeless, dead. So that's why it was hard for me. Um, but, I think looking back on my life, I'll realize that that was the best thing that I ever did. One of the best things I ever did. And I truly believe that. And I think I'll just wish I did it sooner. But I also believe everything happens for a reason. And there was lessons I needed to learn, things I needed to go through. I needed to go through a little bit more pain to realize how right that voice was. And I needed to realize how I need to listen to that voice. There's like the Bible quote. It's like knock and or seek and you will find, knock and you will answer. Um, I think this is that's horribly butchered, but it's something along those lines. And I can't help but thinking that it's when you ask your heart, when you ask your heart, that God inside of you that knows you better than you, you knock, the door will open and it will tell you. But it's it's not sugarcoating anything. It's not here to tell you the easiest path. It's there to tell you what you should do for a meaningful existence and the thing that you most want to do. The thing that will change you and help you unlock your potential and make you become the best version of yourself. The thing that has the potential to embarrass you beyond all measure. The thing that has the potential to give you a life of meaning beyond all measure. That is what it's going to tell you to do. And if you're not prepared, I think it's safe to say once the pain of not doing it becomes more than the pain of doing it, you'll do it. And sometimes you got to take a while to do that. But once you finally do it, then you're free. You're just leaping into the unknown, and it can be scary. And this is, I think it's like in the beginning for me, it was like sunshine and rainbows. I was doing it, and then like a couple days went by, and then the resistance hit me harder than ever, and I was like, what am I doing? You should be settling. You're not worth anything. You're stupid. Who are you to think you can do anything with your life? And the resistance was hard, and it got me. I was pretty down bad, but I stuck with it, and realizing that resistance is a force that is trying to get you to not realize your potential can help you fight the resistance and can just help you go for it and just live a life true to yourself. not the lives others are expecting of you. And just realize that there's something inside of you that knows you better than you, and it's seeking expression through you. And your ego is going to hurt. It's going to feel embarrassed. It's going to feel this. It's going to feel that. It's going to feel vulnerable. But you can't let that stop you. And if you're thinking about letting it stop you, just remember you're going to die. Everyone on this earth is going to die. Everything on this earth that's living is going to die. The human race will probably be extinct soon enough. So why not just go for it? Who cares? Just go for it. And I'll leave you with the I think it's a Mark Twain quote about, you know, 20 years from now, it's not going to be the things you did that you regret, but the things you didn't do.